Samsung just unveiled the Galaxy S25 Edge a few hours ago, and we already have a rumor about its successor, as apparently there will definitely be one. According to sources in Korea, the S26 Edge will arrive alongside the Galaxy S26 and Galaxy S26 Ultra. In case you recognized what's lacking, you're not incorrect. The report suggests Samsung is presently contemplating abandoning up on the Galaxy S26 Plus, since the Plus model has continuously been the lowest sales in its flagship range for a few years now. So if this gets done, then the Galaxy S26 Edge will effectively be the Galaxy S26 Plus's successor on the company's lineup. If this seems similar, it's because Apple is also reported to replace its very own iPhone Plus model with the iPhone 17 Air, which, much like the Galaxy Edge, counts on thinness as the distinctive selling feature. All of that said, bear in mind that this is a very early rumor, since Samsung has only recently begun the creation of the S26 series. So things may still change, and given the language of the report, the firm hasn't totally decided on what to do just yet, but is seriously contemplating axing the S26 Plus in favor of the S26 Edge. Hopefully the second-generation Edge will employ Si/C battery chemistry to be able to pack in more milliamps. Just to give you an idea of how poorly the S25 Plus is performing, Samsung's current target is to sell 37.7 million copies of the Galaxy S25, S25 Plus, and S25 Ultra together this year. Of that, the Ultra makes up 17.4 million units, the vanilla S25 13.6 million units, and the S25 Plus just 6.7 million units. The initial speculations regarding the forthcoming Samsung flagship Galaxy S26 Ultra are strengthening and include information concerning the camera, the S Pen and Key 2 compatibility. The Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra is just 3 months old, yet the first speculations regarding its replacement are already appearing. As well-known leaker Panda Flash Pro says, there will likely be no big modifications to the Galaxy S26 Ultra. Instead, Samsung is focused on targeted enhancements. Since the Galaxy S23 Ultra, Samsung has relied on its in-house 200-megapixel ISOCELL HP2 sensor. After 3 years without any substantial modifications, the Galaxy S26 Ultra might now be ready for an update, which is not uncommon for Samsung at this pace. The two prototypes observed thus far are claimed to feature the same 1/1 3-inch sensor size as the present model, but with enhanced pixel structure and optimized optics. Contrary to prior rumors regarding two 200-megapixel sensors or two periscope telephoto cameras, the Galaxy S26 Ultra will, according to current sources, still feature just one 200-megapixel primary sensor, although perhaps again with a variable aperture. An intriguing advancement involves the S Pen, the trademark of the Ultra series. Panda Flash Pro says that Samsung wants to delete the stylus in the longer term to free up more room in the chassis for other components. The Galaxy S26 Ultra, however, is rumored to incorporate the S Pen again. This move might be deliberate and connected to the persistent absence of a magnet for QI2 compatibility, which the forthcoming flagship will likely not contain. However, the Galaxy S26 Ultra is still in its early phases of development, so a lot might change before its arrival next year. With the Snapdragon 8 Elite, Qualcomm provides a truly powerhouse CPU that forms the foundation for practically all current Android flagships. Now, speculations are progressively developing regarding its replacement, which will reach the market in late 2025. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2, with model number S85550, is likely to be featured in the Samsung Galaxy S26, Xiaomi Mi 16, and the Honor Magic 8 Pro, and will provide significant technological enhancements. SoC will be built on a new Orion generation, with 2 prime cores and 6 performance cores being employed. The new Orion cores look to be making the move to the ARMv9 architecture and enable ARM's Scalable Matrix Extension 1 and Scalable Vector Extension 2. So yet, only the Snapdragon X CPUs for Windows employ the latest architecture. The Snapdragon 8 Elite is still based on ARMv8. There's also rumored to be a new GPU. Unsurprisingly, Qualcomm is believed to be employing an Adreno 840, whose performance is still unknown. The new GPU will presumably feature a significantly faster clock speed, among other things, Rumors point to something like 1.35 GHz. The chip will also be fabricated by TSMC utilizing the N3P process, a method already utilized by the Apple N5 and A19 Pro of the upcoming iPhone 17 Pro. In the interim, the first benchmarks have appeared, giving us a sense of how the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 will perform. Leaker the Undead states, for example, that the chip earned a single-core score of 4,000 points and a multi-core score of 13,000 points in Geekbench 6. This would make the new smartphone SoC roughly 25% quicker than its predecessor. According to Digital Chat Station, the Snapdragon is projected to shatter the 4 million point threshold in the Antutu test. If Leaker Digital Chat Station is to be believed, Qualcomm will move up the debut of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 this year. Instead of October, the processor will be publicly announced in September, which might possibly bring the next smartphone generation to market early. Traditionally, new Snapdragon flagships are announced during the Snapdragon Summit in Hawaii, with the first equivalent smartphones also being demonstrated at the event. One hot contender for this is the Xiaomi 16 Pro. It was found on the 8th that Samsung Electronics planning to integrate color filter on encapsulation technology, which minimizes battery consumption and boosts light transmittance, to the Galaxy S26 Ultra to be introduced next year. This is the first time that Samsung Electronics is deploying color filter on encapsulation to a bar-type smartphone. The color filter on encapsulation is a technique that substitutes polarizing plates in current organic light-emitting diodes, also known as OLED, with color filters and converts the general pixel-defined layer to a black pixel-defined layer. If the polarizer is deleted, the panel gets thinner and the light transmittance rises, which may lower power usage. Colors are also conveyed more vividly by utilizing a color filter instead of the polarizer. Black pixel-defined layer may prevent light from reflecting within the panel. The photosensitive polyamide, the basic material of pixel-defined layer, which is an orange series material in the partition between red, green, and blue OLEDs, is replaced with a black series to make a black pixel-defined layer. In the industry, the process of printing a color filter at low temperature on a thin film encapsulation that protects OLED from moisture and oxygen, and employing a black pixel-defined layer is collectively termed color filter on encapsulation. Samsung Electronics was the first to utilize color filter on encapsulation technology on the Galaxy Z Fold 3, a book-type folding phone in 2021. Color filter on encapsulation technology was also employed in the Galaxy Z Fold 6 introduced last year. As Samsung Electronics applies color filter on encapsulation technology to the Galaxy S26 Ultra next year, it is believed that color filter on encapsulation applied models will spread to bar-type smartphones. Reducing battery consumption and making smartphones smaller to accommodate high-spec games have lately emerged as new trends. This is because the rivalry in product standards has reached its limit. Apple wants to replace the present Plus model with the Air variant in the iPhone 17 series to be delivered this year. The iPhone 17 Air screen size is being planned to be 6.6 to 6.7 inches. The firm that sells color filter on encapsulation type OLEDs to Samsung Electronics is Samsung Display. Samsung Display initially produced the color filter on encapsulation type OLED for Samsung Electronics on Galaxy Z Fold 3 in 2021. Since then, it has delivered foldable phone OLED utilizing color filter on encapsulation to Xiaomi, Vivo, Google, BOE, and CSOT have also delivered foldable phone with OLED utilizing color filter on encapsulation to their respective local smartphone firms. Samsung displays black pixel defined layer for foldable with OLED, which was provided by Dix and Neolux. It is known that the black pixel defined layer utilized by Best on Earth and China Star Optoelectronics Technology is provided by Japan's Toray and Mitsubishi. LG Display also obtained black pixel defined layer samples from Mitsubishi and others last year and is reported to have undertaken out color filter on encapsulation experiments with multiple partners. The ultimate objective of panel makers is to provide to Apple. In current OLED, polarizing plates prevent light coming from outside the screen from bouncing off the electrodes between pixels, hence boosting display visibility. However, when light goes through the polarizing plate, which is an opaque plastic sheet, brightness reduces by more than 50%, lowering light efficiency. Increasing brightness involves higher power consumption, yet increasing brightness leads to a drop in product longevity. Samsung has been moving too slowly with camera hardware updates. It adhered to improving just one camera each year. However, if it wants to stay up with the iPhone 17 Pro, Samsung has to introduce major changes to Galaxy S26 Ultra's camera. According to a claim from Apple Leaks Imagine Boo, the iPhone 17 Pro would include a 48-megapixel telephoto camera with 3.5x optical zoom. In contrast, the iPhone 16 Pro Max sports a 12-megapixel telephoto camera with 5x optical zoom. The Galaxy S25 Ultra sports a 10-megapixel telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom and a 50-megapixel telephoto camera with 5x optical zoom. While on paper the Galaxy S25 Ultra already exceeds the iPhone 17 Pro's camera, real-life comparisons have demonstrated that Apple seeks out a lot even with older camera technology. So to compete with the next iPhone, the Galaxy S26 Ultra has to include an enhanced telephoto camera to replace the Galaxy S25 Ultra's 10-megapixel telephoto camera. Some early speculations say that the Galaxy S26 Ultra will contain a 200-megapixel main camera, a 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 50-megapixel telephoto camera with 3.5x optical zoom, and a 50-megapixel telephoto camera with 8x optical zoom. If this information is genuine, Samsung's next flagship phone may compete well with the iPhone 17 Pro. However, the source of this information doesn't have an established track record, and it strangely seems like we may not receive an 8x optical zoom lens. Another story states that the iPhone 17 Pro will have 8K video recording. While Samsung has provided 8K video since 6 years, Apple has done remarkably well in terms of video recording quality. So, Samsung has to increase the quality of 8K video next year to remain competitive with Apple. Samsung has yet to deliver several camera technology that Apple utilizes in iPhones. They incorporate a sensor shift image stabilization technology, dual pixel autofocus, a quad-LED flash, and a LiDAR sensor on the back. There were speculations about Samsung testing the sensor shift stabilizing technology, but the functionality never arrived in any of its flagship phones. Hopefully, Samsung provides significant camera hardware enhancements next year with the Galaxy S26 Ultra to keep competitive with Apple and other smartphone makers. So, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting tech news and updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.